Hi everyone, as promised I said I was going to do an instruction video on how to put these VegePods together. Now I'm doing large VegePods, which essentially just means two mediums put together. So the first thing that we're going to do is actually get the drip trays, or drain trays as they're called. So essentially what you do is you put three face down on the ground, and you can see there's little holes here. What I've done is I've already started to use my zip line, and I'm going to join these three together so you get this result. And what will happen is they will go into the bottom of each tray. So that's part one. Okay, the next stage after you put your drain trays into the main base is we're going to connect all four of these trays together. So what I've got is a rubber strip. Now that's going to go down in between these two bays, and make sure you don't forget that, like I did on my first one. I had to undo the clips and do it again, and then you'll get some of these little clips. Now what you've got to do is put them on the inside four, leaving these two here and at the other end vacant for another stage later on. So quite quickly they just go in with your thumbs as so. Very easy. And that's stage two. All these bays stuck together. The next stage is to create the perimeter wall. Now the perimeter wall sits up from the bases, and obviously it holds the soil in. I've already created most of it. I'm just going to show you the last little process. So I've got essentially what comes out of the box. You'll find there's two parts already made, and they've got a special little lip on this one down here, which is upside down. So you won't have to worry about that too much because it's already done. So I've created the two side walls. They just clip in like this. Turn that the right way around. Bit like Lego really. Got the corner, and then the last piece like so. And now I've got my perimeter. I'm going to show some skills here. Put it on and then line up for the next stage. Okay, now that I've put this on top, it's sitting nicely on the inside due to these lips. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in these support braces, which are going to go into those holes that we left vacant earlier. Now they go in really easy. The way I worked it out is you go in at the top and then slide it in at the bottom, and then you line up the holes. It's very easy. Grabbing these. And then once you've put them all in on both sides, there should be 6 altogether, you can then go on to the next stage of bolting them in. Okay, now that I've put the support braces in, there's 6 of them, 3 on each side. What you're going to do is you're going to pull out the slightly longer bolt, which came in a little plastic bag. They are separated from the rest, and simply just put them in, making sure that it's still lined up here, and do that for all 6. Don't worry about putting the wing nuts in yet, because you're going to do that in the next stage. Okay, the next stage is to get the outer rim connected to the bases. Now down here there's little holes that line up. Now there's a shorter bolt, which should be the bolts that are left over, considering you've already used the long one. All we're going to do is go around the outside and just put all of the bolts in first, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go around with the wing nut. Okay, the next stage, now that I've put all the little bolts or shorter bolts around the outer rim, what we're going to do is I've got these little plastic wing nuts. Now we're going to do it all in one hit, so it's not rocket science. They're pretty easy. Put your thumb on top, get a bit of a screw, use your finger. I've got a bit of wing nut experience, apart from my ears sticking out. As a kid, I used to have done quite a few of these in my time. Wing nuts. You'll find that there's quite a few. This is probably the most time-consuming part, so you just have to be patient, work your way around. Okay, now I've put these two mediums together. I've got quite a large bay, and what I've decided to do is I've invested in the VegePod bases or stands, and they are joined together with 2 little support bars here. They're not compulsory, they're just an option for those who want to bring, I suppose, the pods off the ground, makes it more easy to water and I suppose pick your foods because it's at waist height. So yeah, that's the next stage, and what I'm going to do now is put the cover together. Okay, next stage is getting the cover together. I'm going to get this done early and then put it aside before I put my seedlings into my soil into the base. But look, this is probably the easiest part of the whole process. It's very simple pole and connector type of setup. There's only two different size poles. You've got these arc poles, and all it suggests is make sure you just put the longer, straighter section at the bottom. Besides that, that's pretty easy, and then it goes onto the shade cloth. Okay, next part of the shade cloth setup, or the lid or the cover, it actually comes with a watering system which you can connect to a hose or to a tank, which is going to sit underneath here on the inside of the cage, so it allows water flow. All you're going to do, there's only two bits. It's pretty easy. You've got a little elbow section here. What you're going to do is push and force that on there. If you find it's a little bit hard, you can use a bit of hot water or something like that and get that on there nice and firmly. Right, and then there'll be a secondary clip down the bottom here. Just loosen that off. Take that off. Put it up this end. Close it. Clamp it. And then you're done. You're ready for the next stage. Okay, the next stage is tying the watering hose to the inside of the frame. I've already put the cable ties across the top, and what we want to do is we want to make sure that these little nozzles here are facing straight down, which is not hard to do. Then you get the last cable tie, put it on there, and this is going to feed down through here, or it's going to go through a hole through the shade cloth. So on to the next step. Okay, the next stage is to get the shade cloth over the top. Pretty simple. Pulling it over. Now it's got a Velcro strip. Now just down here at the bottom, what you've got to make sure you do, there's a little plastic square. It's also got a hole in it. Now this is where the black pipe is going to feed through. So make sure when you line it up before you put it on that you're looking for that. On to the next stage. The next stage is to Velcro the mesh cover to the pole frame. So there's a little bit, two double-sided Velcro strip which you'll have to pull apart and then clip it over the top. Pretty straightforward. Once you do that all the way around, you then flip it over and you have your frame ready to be connected to the base. Okay, next stage to connect the top to the actual bases is there's a series of clips here. Now they just slide out. Okay, now you don't have to pull them all out. What I've chosen to do is put all the clips onto one side, and they simply just slide on into this space. Just remember, what you're going to do is pull out the dummies and put these in. Now you can put some of these at the front. Okay, there is some dummies here at the front if you wanted to have two clips here for, I suppose, the top to clip into. However, I've chosen not to. I'm just going to leave it clear, and I've put all of those clips up at the back. So that's that stage, and we're on to the next. Cabbage. That's going to accompany my bok choys, my spinaches. I've got a few Chinese vegetables. I love Chinese vegetables. There's nothing better. So we'll see how we go.